In one of the most unreal data recovery projects that we've ever heard of, a seemingly lost Nintendo Entertainment System game has been unearthed as archived on a single hard drive backup spread across 21 5.25-inch floppy disks. A joint effort led in part by the Video Game History Foundation began earlier this year with a pile of leftover CDRs, floppies, computers, and other donated items by the family of late programmer and designer Chris Oberth. The results, thus far anyway, are one fully functioning game whose code had to be recovered, then compiled to run on an original NES. The game in question is based on Days of Thunder, a stock racing film from 1990 starring Tom Cruise. One reason this version got lost in the shuffle is because a tie-in DOT video game came out the same year, as published by Mindscape. Oberth's co-creation for the same publisher was dated 1 year earlier, and it looked quite different. As the VGHF co-director points out, the unreleased prototype had only been mentioned once by Oberth. That was back in a 2006 interview with the retro gaming fan newsletter Retro Gaming Times. While trying to recover other lost games from the designer, the archival team noticed a single disc labeled Nintendo Hot Rod. The recovered prototype from the disc turned up a playable early proof-of-concept project about cars driving through a city, but its existence and a brief guess that it was somehow related to Days of Thunder was enough to focus the archivist's search on other discs for anything that might need coding to work on an NES. That guidance paid off when the team located a 21-disc archive of a single hard drive conveniently labeled PC Tools 5.10 backup. Miraculously, all 21 discs could be read, and initial attempts to read the archive turned up a file directory with hints of Days of Thunder. Yet in spite of the data recovery missing portions of the game's source data, VGHF has decided to upload everything its engineers used to author and publish the ROM to a GitHub repository so that, if you wish, you can learn from the available code and produce your own versions of the discovered ROM. It's a big data recovery win for a project that began with hopes of finding Oberth's better-known lost games, particularly when he worked on arcade games for Stern. VGHF is still seeking information on recovering those games or any other lost software, and its archivists will happily accept your tips if you have any. And of course, any seemingly destroyed disk backups, because hey, who knows what you might find. Epic Game Store exclusively is a touchy subject for some PC gamers, but developer Creative Assembly may have found a way to make the best of a potentially divisive situation. When Total War Saga Troy, the studio's next game, comes out on August 13th, it will be exclusive to the Epic Game Store. For 1 whole year, in fact. However, in the first 24 hours that it's available, you'll be able to download and keep it forever for free. It will then make its way to Steam 12 months later on August 13th, 2021. Creative Assembly said it sees the promotion as a way to introduce new players to its long-running game strategy franchise, which can be intimidating if you've not played it in the past. As developers, we truly value our existing fans, but at the same time, we want to reach new audiences and have as many people as possible experiencing the thrill of Total War for themselves. That comes directly from the studio. Now, as a business, that means putting Total War onto new platforms so that it can reach more players. The developers went on to say it doesn't plan to make any of its future games Epic Game Store exclusives, but notes that it couldn't have made Troy free without Epic's help. Making it available for free for everyone to keep during the first 24-hour period wouldn't have been possible without this deal, they said. Total War Saga Troy takes place during the Trojan War. Like in past Total War games, you'll be able to manage your fraction on a strategic map and then fight real-time battles that feature hundreds and sometimes thousands of individual warriors. In line with the game's mythology, heroes like Achilles, Ajax the Great, and Hector of Troy will fight alongside your armies. Creative Assembly Saga games usually have a narrower focus than the studio's mainline Total War games, which should make this a good introduction for a few new fans. It was 7 years ago already that we first heard about Harvard University's HAMR-Cockroach-inspired robot. Although the bot was already on the tiny side at the time, its designers have now created a version that's just half the size. It's time to meet HAMR-JR. The original HAMR, that stands for Harvard Ambulatory Micro Robot, measured just 4.4 centimeters in length, that's about 1.7 inches, and used its 4 ceramic actuator-powered legs to scuttle around at speeds of up to 8.4 body lengths per second. It was built utilizing Harvard's printed circuit microelectromechanical systems, otherwise known as PCMEMS manufacturing method. This involves fabricating a flat sheet of micro-layered building materials, then using a laser to cut that sheet into patterns. The different panels that make up those patterns are then joined together by flexible hinges. This allows the panels to be folded into three-dimensional shapes, much like the pages of a children's pop-up book. In order to build HAMR-JR, the scientists basically just shrank the two-dimensional pattern design along with the leg actuators and integrated circuitry. Power is supplied via a hardwired external source. However, we have seen these robots or similar ones powered by solar power. The resulting robot is a mere 2.25 centimeter long, or about 0.9 inches, and at 0.3 grams weighs less than a single penny. Most robots at this scale are pretty simple and only demonstrate basic mobility. Researchers have shown that you don't have to compromise dexterity or control for size. That said, its top scale speed is faster than that of the original, coming in at around 14 body lengths per second. It can also jump, carry payloads heavier than itself, and turn on the spot.